There's no like red thread from track 1 to 13 per se, but they're all coming of a perspective of dealing with either implicit or explicit trauma or the things that we deal with on a regular day basis, whether that be our past or our future. A lot of the lyrics, I would say, were directly influenced by opening up my phone and scrolling and just wanting to throw it up against a wall.
What's up, everybody? It's Keefe with another GhostCultMag.com interview here on all the streaming places, and I'm here with Jason of Death Pose from Chicago. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for being here. It's so awesome to meet you. I'm super excited. You have a brand new album out, or coming out, as we record this, about to come out.
Yeah.
Midnight Society, for your brand new band, basically. I don't think supergroup gets bandied about a lot, but like local supergroup for sure. Like a bunch of people from notable Chicago bands, and the album's coming out on Brutal Panda Records, which is sort of this bastion of underground great music, and they have been for a long time. And to make a shout out to them. So let's reel it back for a second and just do the comic book origin story, page 1. How did this band, misfit locals, come together to make this new band?
So I was living in Germany for 6 years. So I was working and living overseas, playing in some like indie rock-ish kind of bands, like, or more like punk, alt country adjacent kind of stuff. I'm having a lot of fun over there. But then, surprise, surprise, COVID. So there were massive lockdowns. During that earlier part of the COVID lockdowns, I just started writing a bunch of stuff at home by myself. And one of the things I was leaning into was just like really, really heavier music than I had typically written before. So I had about an album's worth of material there that I was just kind of sitting on. Then came the time to, essentially, I was given the opportunity to move back to the States. So moving back to Chicago, I hit up my friend Alex, and they were in Typesetter for ages and ages. Typesetter and my old band, The Sky We Scrape, we played together a bunch way back in the day. And Alex and I have been friends since then. We used to be neighbors, basically. And when I was moving back, they and I were talking, and like, we've always been ships in the night musically, or like on the same ocean, but never in the same boat. So we were talking about like, well, let's do something together. And we were bouncing around some ideas of like, do we do something like heavier than either of us have ever done before? Like, we both love bands like Every Time I Die, and Converge is my favorite band. Or do we do something that's more like dancey, kind of synth, dark stuff like The Faint? So like different spectrum, different sides of that spectrum. But we got together and started messing around with some of the earlier ideas that I had started writing during early COVID, and it just kind of gelled. So they have a sick writing style and really complemented mine. So we just worked through some different ideas, and then we just kind of organically started building this band with some friends of ours, more friends of Alex. They have like a much more finger on the pulse than I do in Chicago, especially after being gone for 6 years. So yeah, we just started writing and just kind of went full steam ahead, and it's been great. So it was basically started just as a, why don't we just start making some noise together, and then really snowballed into, oh shit, now we have an album's worth of material. We're playing some really rad shows. Let's just kind of do this.
It sounds like it came together very well, especially if it's with friends. I'm guilty and notable for saying, it's the music business, not the music friendship. But if you can have, starting to backpedal in the last year, and if you can have the friendship, that's the best.
It makes it easy. Like, like as long as the right friends are the ones that you're partnering with, because you want to make sure that they have the same amount of drive. And like, the great thing about especially working with Alex is they and I, like, and our separate bands have always been the business people. We would take care of all the logistics, the booking, art direction, recording logistics, touring, stuff like that. So now with the two of us together, it might be kind of obnoxious for the other two in the band, just because we're just like, let's get stuff done. But it's great that we're friends, but also like have like that drive, I guess, to get it done.
It's important to have driven people, and somebody's got to be a leader. It can't be it's usually never 4 leaders. It's always 2 or 1. So that's really cool. I think Typesetter is probably the band that most people know regional, but it's true. All of you have went back and made sure I pollinated and checked out all the older stuff that I did. But cool. It does seem like Midnight Society is a culmination of blended very seamlessly. And I love that you mentioned Converge, because then I take notes. Robos and Converge like came up, and I hear some of that, and I just saw them, so they're probably in my brain. I just saw their West Coast tour. And nice. There's definitely, it's not a ton of genre hop. It's definitely heavy, and it's definitely not vanilla. You know what I'm saying? It's very each song is very creative. It seems like,
Yeah.
and I do like that there's a little bit of variety. The ending song is not the same as the middle of the record. There's some very like groovy things that are very moody, and then there's some other things that are very super aggro that I think will really dig it. So I like there's it's eclectic, but it's not too
Oh, totally. Yeah. And yeah, like I'm kind of a Converge fanboy. Like this behind me, this is a Jacob Bannon print here. That's a Jacob Bannon print. I have a Converge hand tattoo. I mean, I'm kind of a dork, but yeah, like I would say one thing I really love about this record is that, you know, if I were to write this myself in a silo, it wouldn't have been what it is. The four of us all came at it with different, you know, ers and ahs and like some different perspectives on it. I really like that it has diversity in it, but it's still like these lyrically, but also like tonality wise, like the themes kind of carry it through. But yeah, that last track, which is, it starts kind of on the acoustic side. It's that was an idea that was just as basically as we were about to go into the studio. That was one that I wrote and was like, this might be kind of like a little bit of a downshift, but let's try it out. And then I'm really happy with that, how that turned out. But it's definitely like that one belongs at the end for sure. I don't want that to be the album opener. And
right. It's like your Stairway to Heaven, but at the end of the album. It's great. Right. No offense. I mean that in the best possible way.
Oh, totally.
But yeah, let's delve a little more into some of the other stuff on the record. Obviously, I didn't get a lyric sheet, but you know, we've all been like huge anxiety cucumbers full of water the last few years. The world is on fire.
Yes.
And many terrible things, your computer or whatever. But how do you get that out in your music? Do you use your music as an outlet for your emotional well-being and your mental health also, or is it just purely distraction?
That's a great question. I would say a little bit of both. I'd say lyrically and thematically on Midnight Society, all the individual stories that are being told, there's no like red thread from track 1 to 13 per se, but they're all coming of a perspective of dealing with either implicit or explicit trauma or the things that we deal with on a regular day basis, whether that be our past or our future. A lot of the lyrics, I would say, were directly influenced by opening up my phone and scrolling and just wanting to throw it up against a wall. So yeah, I mean, I see songwriting both musically as well as lyrically as kind of a bit of a catharsis, in that the heavier aspects of this band have been really fulfilling to me because I'm generally like a very positive person. Like I'm kind of a doof that generally always has a smile on his face, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of stuff to deal with. And that has been a great I guess expression or release. And then lyrically, having a platform where it lends itself to that outlet has been really fulfilling, I would say.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks for unpacking that. Again, not easy. There are no easy answers at this point in life. I don't know. If I was ever naive, I think it's gonna get easier the longer you. No, it's just gonna keep getting harder.
You just get more gray hair on the side. That's all.
Oh yeah, all kinds of things. Because you were all guys from different bands and perspective, maybe assuming leaders of your own band. What's the starting point? Does somebody bring in a song or a riff? Do you jam? Do some of the songs come together just collectively, or are you just here? I got a whole song. Check it out. See what you can do with it. How do you guys approach?
Yeah. So typically what will happen in the room is that on the album on Midnight Society, I basically say like half of the album was written, meaning the main ideas by myself, and the other half were written by Alex. So Alex is the bassist, but they also play guitar, you know, they write. So we'll bring in ideas that are, I would say like 70% there. And then together we'll work out, like, is that idea on its own? Does it have basically legs to stand on? Does that work with, you know, one of my ideas, for example? And then we'll just kind of like workshop it together. There have been a few instances where the song on the album is exactly as it was, with just a few minor nuances, basically when it was brought to the practice space the first time. So one example of that would be track 2, which is called Rat Nest. That one was written, I have a tendency to write really long songs. So I gave myself a challenge to write the shortest song I possibly could. And that's about like 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Typically when I'll write something at home, it ends up being like 4 or 5 minutes long, which does not work. There are a couple of tracks on the album that lean a little longer, but so yeah, we always write music first, lyrics second. I have ideas running in parallel. The long and short of it basically is that, it's typically Alex and I bring the core ideas and then we'll work them out together. And then, we'll see with the next album that we're we've already started writing how that continues, but I know we already have like a little bit too much material to play with, which is a good problem to have, I suppose.
Already started the next one. I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
I can't sit still. Is my problem.
nice work. I was gonna
I
say,
know.
there's a lot of when I first looked at the promos, well, that's a lot of tracks for a debut album. But then it's like they're all very. I like that they're very short and to the point. There's definitely no fat here. Even that last track we talked about, there are a couple of longer. They don't overstay. It's like,
That's cool.
this was good
Thank
on
you.
repeat as well as just once through. Yeah. So what's in the offing? You already played a few. Like you said, you're getting some high profile gigs. What's on the
Mhm.
horizon? Do you plan to tour with this band? Touring being what it is.
Yeah, there's always a big question mark around that for sure. So yeah, probably by the time this is out, we've already had the album out, which is October 20th. We're having a release show in Chicago that night at kind of our hometown bar that Alex and Jeff from the band both bartend at as well. So it's attached to the Metro in Chicago, which is like my favorite venue. So it's great to be like part of that family adjacent, at least after that. So the following week we'll be playing at Fast down in Gainesville, with a lot of like really, really amazing bands. We played last year, and then in my old band, or three of my old bands and Alex's old band, like we've all played, excessively. So that's Fest is my personal favorite weekend of the year period, because it's like amazing bands everywhere you look. You could throw a rock and hit amazing band. Please don't, but you could. But then also it's like a homecoming for a lot of people. So it's like more of like a family reunion. Beyond that, we don't have anything until December, and we're doing about a week and a half run starting in DC. So we're doing DC, Philly, Brooklyn, Boston, Cleveland, Ann Arbor, Indy, St. Louis, Champaign, and home. And those shows we're super, super stoked on, because like you noted, like touring can be really challenging, especially as a brand new band that people, we're happy for anyone to like listen to a snippet of one of our songs, but to come out and see us on the East Coast when we're from Chicago can be kind of a challenge. We were asked to be part of Burial Panda, the sickest label around. They're having their 15th anniversary weekend, like some showcases. And as before and after that, we're doing a bunch of shows with bands like Kowloon Walled City. Local H is taking us on the way, whole way back. Rid of Me, Cherubs. There's like just an amazing swath of bands that we get to play with. So that's going to be about a week and a half worth of dates. And then, kind of looking to the future, just based off of my previous bands and Alex's previous band, we had the opportunity to go over to Europe and do, a month over there. So we're looking to do that around like late May, early June, to do a few weeks out there, some festivals. And it's, I get to practice my broken German, because I've definitely lost most of it by now. But yeah, so we're trying to stay as active as possible with, the reality of, like you said, what touring is these days. And then also just, not just me, but the others in the band were a little older now. So, can't hit the road all year round. And it's more about playing smart, and like doing tours that make sense, and that, we're not just totally eating shit every day. But we can actually like, go out and have a killer time. We love playing out. Like that's my favorite thing, is to just go hit the road and play out, but to do it in a way that, can not put us in the hole too much.
That makes the most sense. We will help get the word out on those shows and
Much appreciated.
things,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll get somebody.
That'd be sick.
And I love to end these with a wild card question. I'm so glad you brought up the Metro. I was just in Chicago for Riot Fest for a week. Awesome. I had the best time. Chicago was amazing. I didn't get to go in the Metro, but I got to the Metro because I went to Wrigleyville and got a Shy Dog. And so that leads to my question, my wild card question to end this with you. I know I'm putting you on the spot because you just came back to the States, but most overrated and underrated Chicago food experience.
Oh, good Lord. That's a really good question. So since I left Chicago when I moved to Germany for 6 years, I was not a vegetarian then. I am now. So my experiences have been shifted. I would say this is based off my previous history. So the most underrated Chicago culinary experience would be, for those that do eat meat, the hot dog stand at the Home Depot on Elston Avenue. If you want a Chicago style hot dog, that's like just no frills, just like it's solid. Like, especially after you're doing a weekend's worth of projects, that was one of the best hot dogs in the world. I also have, there was this place called Hot Dogs that if you got a tattoo of the logo, you would get free food for life. They have since closed down. So that is not doing it for me. Most So that I would say probably the most underrated, but there's a lot of really great like legit spots in the city. Most overrated. See, the challenge is I never leave my house. So, oh no, actually, I got it actually. So, pizza. We're talking about pizza. So I'm gonna shift that. So talked about not Portillo's, but yeah, everyone goes to Portillo's for hot dogs. If you're going for a hot dog, go to the Home Depot Elston. Pizza. So Chicago style pizza, and I might get some blowback from other Chicagoans, but I doubt it. Chicago style pizza is garbage. It is a casserole of just cheese and sauce, and just I hate it. And I'm also lactose intolerant, so that's not going to fly for me. So anything Chicago style pizza is way overrated, 100%. Geno's East, all that stuff. Most underrated is Chicago pub style pizza, which is a lot closer to, if there's, it's like more similar to New York style, I guess, but it's more like the square cut, thinner crust. It's more, yeah, that's underrated Chicago pub style, overrated Chicago. Go straight in the trash if you ask me.
Fair enough, man. I am a pizza snob from the East Coast originally. I've had the different deep dishes. Not a fan. I've tried to get the pub style. I heard the thin crust is where it's at. Chicago. Mm-hmm. That's the real Chicago pizza. And then of course on my on my way out of town to get like a Pequod, said that wrong. Mm-hmm. And they fucked my order up. So they sent me an uncut pizza pie with no utensils to a hotel I checked out of. Whoa!
Sorry, thanks for the circle.
Thanks for nothing. I'll just eat it like a frisbee. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for sharing.
Well, I do want to know though, before we move on away from pizza, if you have any recommendations for East Coast pizza, since we'll be there in December.
100%, you gotta go. Definitely. There's a bunch, and obviously New York is the epicenter universe for pizza. I personally
Sbarro, right?
No, I mean, if you're drunk and starving and you're gonna die and you need a piece of pizza, or so you can do that. With inflation, it's $1.50, but it used to be $1. But personally, Joe's, they franchised out a little, but it's a family-owned pizza shop. Joe's, specifically the one near Irving Plaza, and that's the slice you want. And, for you can definitely get. They have like a white pizza with, but for your meat-eating friends or bandmates, you want to get the special. But and also for if you're vegan or vegetarian, Two Boots Pizza is. I'm not either, and I love their pizza, and it's all gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, everything, and wonderfully made. Two Boots Pizza. Those are in a few places, Manhattan. Awesome talking to you, Jason. Death Pose.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, really. Your new band. Congratulations on Death Pose, Midnight Society, on the amazing Brutal Panda records. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you live eventually too, man.
I hope so as well, and thank you so much for chatting. It's been a pleasure.